Hi everybody, Elizabeth here at Petals and Parchment. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today, and it's time to show you my Christmas surprise. This month for December, I'm offering not one but two kits, so it's a little 2-for-1 deal. The first kit is called the Aged Archives, and it's a cream colored journal set with lots of phone book pages and ledgers and lots of textiles. And the second kit is called Dusty Documents, and that's more of a brown toned kit, which has a lot of like Victorian era wallpaper and a bunch of old documents that look like they've been sitting in a drawer forever. And both of these combined can make a beautiful neutral palette journal. And I'm offering both kits for the low price of $5 when you join the membership, and that is going to come with a giant load of bonus pages throughout the month that come out every Friday. So take a look at the kits and let me know what you think. So what do you think of the kits? Pretty awesome, huh? I've got 90 pages of goodies for you and so much more lined up with the bonus pages for members this coming month. And what I've done here is I've printed out some of my favorite pages, and then I've just folded them all in half lengthwise to get ready. For my signature, I'm going to do a tall and skinny journal with this kit. You could do a regular format kit as well. This is a very versatile kit, but some of the pages were designed to be tall and skinny and or collage fodder. And then I just went through my stash and got some dyed papers that sort of match the neutral theme, some coffee dyed papers, and then I also have this one that I made, and I also have this I thought would look pretty. It's got botanicals made into the paper. It's like a homemade paper, so I did purchase this. I didn't make it myself. I haven't made paper since elementary school. So I'll just get these folded and added to my pile, and then we'll get started on constructing the cover. So there we go. I'm going to set these aside now until we're ready to bind them into the journal. And here's what I found for my tall and skinny box. So I'm just going to show you how I disassemble the box and cut it up to prepare it for the journal, and then we're going to kind of cover the journal. It's okay if you rip this first panel because we're cutting it off anyways, but try not to rip the actual covers. So then I'm just going to go around the outside and cut off all of this stuff. Okay, so the first step is going to be to measure this to correctly fit the journal. So I'm just going to place one of my sheets about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch from the bottom, and then I'm also just going to give a small border the same size all the way around here. So I'm just going to mark it with a pencil where I want to cut, so about right there, and then for the length about right there. Then you bring in a guillotine if you have one, or you can use a ruler and a box cutter and just cut it to the size that you need. Then we're going to take this piece over here and cut the same amount off. And let's make sure that we got it even here. A smidge more on this side. And I'm just going to clean up this edge real quick here, but I'm just going to trim off a hair here. and make sure that it still fits, and it does. I'm going to also trim all my papers to be the same size too if any are longer than this. Now I'm just going to glue this on the front cover to cover up the red decoration so it doesn't show through on my fabric. So I'm gonna rough this up a little bit so that the glue adheres better. I lost my little sanding block, so I'm just gonna use my nail file here. And I don't really think it matters the glue that you use for this step if you're going to cover it with fabric. But if you're going to cover your journal with paper, then you probably want to use Fabri-Tac for this step because you can see the glue through the paper if it's a wet glue like PVA. So using something like Fabri-Tac, it won't show through. But I'm just going to glue this down using a silicone brush I picked up to spread the glue evenly. I love this thing. The dried on glue just peels right off. They're called a silly brush if anybody's wondering. Super nice. And I'm just going to stick this down here. And then I'm going to set to work mitering the edges and bringing them over just for a nice finished look. So all that means is that you're taking like a 90-degree angle from here and then from this side as well. So I'm just gonna come in here and just do kind of a turn of my wrist, show you again, come toward the corner and then just angle it out that way a little bit more. You don't want to get too close to the corner, and you can always take off more, but you can't put it back on. Okay, so then this is again just to cover up the decoration on the cardboard that I'm using. Okay, and then you fold all of these edges in. And then the next step is to make the same cuts on the spine here. So just go toward the line on both sides of it and cut like a little triangle out right where the spine is. Again, you don't want to go too close. Turn it over and do this side. Like so. Now we're just going to glue all the edges down. Okay, there we go. Now we've got our journal cover and we can begin decorating it, which I'm going to do with some neutral fabric scraps. And I am going to glue these down. I don't have my sewing machine, so I'm going to just glue everything down in like a collage style. After playing around with the fabric scraps, I think I have a base that I'm happy with, so I'm going to go to work now and gluing all of these down in the order that I've laid them, and when I come back it'll be assembled and we'll continue from there. See you soon. Okay, I'm back and it is sometime later, and I sort of glued all the pieces, or I did take a picture, but I also just sort of worked intuitively. So this is the final iteration, and I've left like a border around the edge. So now we're just gonna do the same process of cutting the corners and the edge and the little triangles from the spine. Okay, so now I'm gonna set to work just gluing these edges down, and I'm going to hold quite firmly and also clip each side as I go. I'll be using the same Fabri-Tac, and this was a little bit goopy, so I watered it down with some 100% acetone, and now it should be ready to go. Okay, so now that that is all glued, the next step is to decide whether or not you want to add a closure, the type of closure where you can tie it. And in order to hide that, we need to add it now. So I've got this lovely wool yarn here with a yummy texture from my days when I was needle felting pet portraits. I'm just going to attach it here roughly in the center. I'm going to run a line of glue, and then I'm also going to probably use some masking tape to tape it down and reinforce it. I think my hubby stole my masking tape, but I was able to find this medical kind of fabric tape that I picked up, and I'm happy I found that because this will actually come in very handy for this journal. So I'm just gonna try to keep it within this like half-inch border that I'm picturing on the edge. We could probably take it a step further and add glue underneath the tape as well, but I think that should be all right. Okay, so here's what we have so far. All right, so now the next step is going to be constructing the hidden spine signatures. I want to make sure this is stuck down properly, so I'm going to glue that real quick. Okay, I'll just let that sit for a moment and talk to you about hidden spines. Okay, so I've just got like an extra scrap piece of manila folder that I'm going to use, and I just need maybe a 3-inch wide section. It doesn't take much at all. I just need to be able to overlap the spine on either side by about an inch or so. So I'm going to just line this up to eyeball it. You can measure exactly if you'd like. Okay, so I'm just gonna cut that off there, and then I just need a little bit shorter than the length of the journal. So I'm gonna cut. So I've got a mark here and here. I'm just gonna make those 2 cuts and end up with the exact size I need here. And then we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is line up my card where I want it, and then I'm just gonna make a mark where I want to score. So I'm just gonna score where it's going to bend at the spine. Oops, missed my mark on this one. That's okay. And then I'm just gonna score each side so that it fits like a channel into the spine of my book, like so. And now I'm going to cover with a pretty paper, and then that will not only reinforce it, but hide any that might be peeking out between the signatures. And then after that, we're just going to sew the signatures into this piece instead of into the cover. And I'm just going to punch 3 holes. I've just got some waxed thread here in a neutral tone to match my color scheme. And the rule of thumb is like 3 times the length, so that should be plenty. You're going to want to start from the back of your spine. It doesn't matter where you start. And go through all of your signature. And through the top of your signature. It can be quite tricky to find your place. Go back through the center hole. Arriving at the back again, pull tight and tie it off. So I'll try to pull it as tight as I can, and then I'm still going to tape it down as well. So pull it tight and use another piece of this tape. And that is our first signature in, and we need to put one more in. I think mine is crooked. So I actually need to trim this down a little bit at the top because it's way too much room down here and not enough up here. So, oh well, it's just paper and you can probably fix any of your mistakes. So all I'm trying to do is keep the signature inside at this point and as not crooked as possible. So I'm going to try to line up my holes with the first set, but straight this time. Give myself a little bit of a guide. Okay, now I'm going to punch the holes through here at the same time as I'm trying to feed it through here. So mark it with a pencil this time. So come through the back of the hole that you made ahead of time, and then actually first I need to punch holes in this. Alright, now through the back here, and then through this set, through the middle, in through the bottom, to go through your red, and end at the back. Pull everything tight and tie off. Pull it as tight as I can. It's kind of tricky to get it sewn onto this spine, but once you do, and then you get it glued in your journal, it looks really nice. So let's get that done. Okay, I'm just going to start on the spine here. And press down in the middle, which is the part that's going to show. Okay, and I'm just gonna firmly push this down for a few minutes while the glue sets, and I want it to just like really adhere. So and same thing, just hold it firmly in place. And I want this to be a little sturdier, so I think I'm going to add some chipboard before I add my cover paper. Okay, I've got a piece of chipboard here. I'm not really sure what weight it is, but it's pretty thin and flexible. I just think it'll give it just the amount of strength that I'm going for. So I'm going to line it up with the edge of my spine, and I'm going to subtract a tiny decorative border around the whole thing. So maybe like 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 an inch border on each side. Okay, so I'm going to make those 2 cuts and see how we do. Okay, so I've just grabbed a couple more sheets from the kit, and I'm just going to cover these panels first. I'm just using regular PVA glue, and I'm going to spread it as thin as I can with my silicone brush. Panels are covered, we'll get these added to the back and the front of the journal, and then I'll show you my boo-boo. Okay, so I think I'm just going to, for good measure, put another piece of tape here. Okay, and then I'm just going to take these panels and put these in, and then I think we'll stop for today. Okay, this isn't really a directional pattern, but just find out which way you want it to go, and we're gonna glue it in. Okay, anytime I see a little edge peeking up, I just want to add some more glue, reinforce that. Actually, I think I'm just going to go all the way around while I do the back side, just to kind of keep this in place. Okay, now I'm going to move to the back side. And before this gets too stuck down, this spot right here is bothering me, so I'm just going to glue a piece of fabric under there. Okay, now I'm gonna push down on this. Messed up my measurements. Look how much this sticks out on the bottom. Ah! So I've got to go remove all of these pages here at the bottom. So silly. And here's how you can fix that. I would do one signature at a time and decide where you want it. So I'm probably gonna do this line here, and I'm gonna get a razor blade and a ruler and just line it up and continue going through. You don't have to push hard, it's just a repetitive motion until you make it all the way through. And I've got my cutting mat between the cover and the signature so that I don't go too far. Okay, and voila, it fits again. Now I'm just going to turn it the other direction and do that one more time. Okay, so once again, I'm going to stick the cutting mat between the journal cover and my signature, and then I'm just going to try to keep it the same as the one next to it so that they're even and straight. And just continue cutting very slowly and gently. Crisis averted, and our journal is fixed. Now we're just going to train it to bend in the direction that we want. But this is my journal so far. A nice blank canvas to start adding some artwork. Some pockets, some tags, lots of fun stuff. Okay, here's my journal so far, constructed and ready to fill. I'm going to be working on this throughout December as a sort of break from all of the holiday hullabaloo. I've decided to embrace neutrals this winter, and it's an exciting journey for me I hope you'll be a part of. And it is not one but two kits in the shop for the price of one, and tons of bonus pages and lots of fun along the way. So if you are feeling neutrals and you'd like to join me, I would love to have you in the Petals and Parchment Paperie. Head to Ko-fi and check it out. I'll drop my links in the description box so you can find it and follow along and create something special with me that you can use for years to come, or gift to someone special for Christmas who maybe doesn't want a holiday themed journal. All right, I hope you have a great crafty weekend, and until next time, bye.